Okay, this problem is looking at the general equation of circles that are centered at the origin. And it's meant to be more of an introductory idea. The first thing it says is to graph a circle whose equation is x squared minus or plus y squared equals 64. So if we graph this, we can actually center at the origin. And its radius is 8. So we can draw this circle right here. Plot these few points here, and then do the best job I can to draw a circle. It's not going to be perfect. It'll be decent. Okay, so that's graphing the equation. Now, the reason I knew about this was I look at this equation right here, and I know that the general equation of a circle looks something like this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Now in this, hk equals a center. So now since at my equation x squared plus y squared, notice I don't have an h or a k, so h and k would equal 0. And then r is the radius. Okay, and so we just take the square root of 64, since r squared equals 64, and r is 8. So that's the simple, easy way to figure it out as far as looking at the general equation of a circle right here and just dissecting the equation they give us. Now, if we didn't know that, what we could have done is just wanted to graph it, maybe on a graphing calculator. That's probably what the steps I would have taken had I not known how to graph a circle. So if I were to graph this on a graphing calculator, I can just solve this for y. So that would mean that y squared equals 64 minus x squared, and then square root both sides, so that y equals square root 64 minus x squared. Now the only problem with doing this on a calculator is on your calculator, when you take the square root of 64 minus x squared, it is a principal root, which means it's only going to give you the positive range here. And since we are graphing a circle, we actually want the negative range too. So if I would graph just this part right here, I would only get this top half of the circle on the calculator. So I also need to include the bottom half of the circle, so I need to actually graph two of these, one with a positive square root, one with a negative square root, and that will actually give me the bottom half of the circle too. So in reality, I got to graph this in two different functions on my calculator. And again, one of the reasons is because calculators don't graph non-functions very well. And since a circle is not a function, because of the vertical line test here, we have to graph two of these, one of these in y1 and one of these in y2, and connect them and piece it together. Now with that idea, once we have this idea, it gives you a few equations and says, what do they have all in common? Well, you can either graph them over and over again and see, or notice that none of these have an h or a k. So what does that tell us? It tells us that our origin is at 0, 0. So they all have in common the center is at 0, 0, or the origin. So all of these circles right here all have the center at 0, 0. Okay, and how do they differ? Well, they have different radius lengths. So this radius length was 8, square root of 64. Square root of 1 is 1, so the radius of this circle is 1. Radius of this circle is square root 40. It's not a nice, super easy number, so we can just do square root 40 I believe it's 2 root 10. And then this would have a radius of square root k. And that's kind of an introduction to circles centered at the origin.